Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called Boss Security Problems. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure you click on the notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. I'd also like to tell you about HollywoodIsCalling.com. It's a great service that allows you to purchase live phone calls from more than 100 celebrities, and the calls start out at just $19.95. So give it a try. HollywoodIsCalling.com. Now, let's get started. There used to be a time in America when everybody wanted to be a boss. Everybody wanted to be a CEO, a vice president, a manager, a director, a team leader. People dreamed of being CEOs, managers, bosses, and then the world changed. Now we live in an era where everybody hates, targets, maligns, attacks, or tries to set up CEOs, managers, directors, and bosses with such regularity that it's almost becoming a sport. Have you noticed how many companies lately have started hiring interim CEOs instead of permanent CEOs? If you look at some of the job descriptions online, you'll see the word interim being used all the time now. They'll post the job for a 3 or 6 month interim CEO, manager, director, VP, so they can take their time and they can hire someone else to put into that spot permanently. Now, there are really two things going on here. In situation number one, the hiring team or the board of directors or the company culture is so scared to death of making a decision and committing to a single employee that they'll delay the entire process and they'll create interim positions so that they don't have to fully commit. That's how gutless these executive boards are. Now I'm hearing now that some companies are putting prospective executive employees through Rorschach tests. They're bringing in psychologists to evaluate them. They're bringing in all sorts of experts. They'll bring in a couple of, voodoo witch doctors and seance experts. They'll. I am amazed at how petrified corporate America is of making a simple decision. Oh, by the way, they'll also hire teams of outside experts to come in to psychologically and emotionally evaluate prospective applicants for not just CEO jobs, but jobs at all levels. A stupid managerial job. It's that will warrant the kind of scrutiny that that has never been seen before for this sort of thing. It's amazing. So when you interview for a job like that, a CEO, director, manager, whatever it is, a really intelligent thing to do is to ask them what happened to the last 3 CEOs. Don't ask them what happened to the predecessor, to my predecessor. What happened to the last 3 VPs, directors, managers, or CEOs? Now, if the company can't give you a straight answer, or if they say they're not at liberty to say, then it's very possible that they've been mistreating their people so badly or working them so hard that nobody wants to stick around for more than a month or two. So they create these ridiculous interim positions so that as people disappear, whether they're jumping off the roof and committing suicide or drinking themselves to death, or they just prefer to get a job at McDonald's rather than be the head of your company, whatever it is, man, there's something going on and you need to dig a little bit deeper. Another problem that's going on is that bosses are now being blamed for things they have nothing to do with and no control of. So bosses have become the de facto new scapegoats for anything and everything the board doesn't want to be blamed for. other executives don't want to be blamed for. That's going to be now your undeclared, a part of your undeclared job description. You should know that you're not going to be blamed for anything and everything that you had nothing to do with. You can't make this stuff up. It's Saturday Night Live quality, but it's reality. It's what's going on out there, and that's why it's so bizarre. And when adverse events cause problems for the company, then the company usually just replaces executives who had nothing to do with those problems. Being an executive today is like being put in charge of an army that's hell-bent on undermining and sabotaging everything you do. The army's enemy is not the opposing enemy. The army's enemy is the general, meaning you, the executive. So, do you think that's an exaggeration? Well, let me tell you. Do you know there are now companies that will fire you for reprimanding an employee for not showing up to work? Do you know that if an employee tells HR that a manager made them feel uncomfortable, then in many companies, that is a major offense and punishable by termination? Think about that for a minute. One person is being terminated not because of something they said or did, but because another person claimed to have a feeling in their tummy about something that occurred to them that no one saw or witnessed or can corroborate. A feeling. Someone's feeling can now get you terminated. Our culture is now descending into some strange twilight zone of bizarre behavior where people's feelings matter more than facts or evidence or data or witnesses or, get ready for this, heaven forbid, the truth. This is why major police departments across the country are being given stand-down orders by their politicians and told not to pursue criminals. The politicians will say that it's because they don't want to hurt or harm innocent people during a police chase. But no one believes that because the data does not support it. Most people and police officers believe that these stand-down orders are politically motivated. All of these factors are making it more difficult than ever to be a boss. So if you're a CEO, you probably have corporate security details assigned to you, right? They follow you around. They make sure nobody clubs you to death on the way to the car. But if you're a manager or a director, or you've probably had threats leveled against you on a weekly basis, but you probably don't have any security assigned to you by the company, right? Well, that's because they don't deem you worthy of the expense. So do you know what some companies are now advising their managers and directors to do as they leave the building at the end of the day? They're telling them to exit the building together as a team, as a group, so that they can look out for each other in case of a security problem. So the problem with that is you guys all have to coordinate your schedules to leave at the same time, to gather up by the elevator and lock arms and hold arms on your way out. like you're going through a war zone, and just keep your heads on a swivel and look around to see if there are any potential threats approaching. So do you know what the real priority is for all those security guards in most companies? It's not to run to your side and protect you from an attack or stop somebody from attacking you, because company policy usually prohibits them from doing that. It's to call the police and to whip out their phones and videotape the event just in case the employee who has been attacked, get ready for this, decides to file a claim against the company at a later date. Some companies even have their security guards keep digital documents on their phones at all time, so that if an employee is attacked or involved in an incident, they can ask them to sign that digital release document right on their phones to help insulate the company from any liability. I've heard of one situation where a warehouse worker injured his head and was laying on the floor bleeding. When the manager ran up to him, he immediately asked him to sign a release document that he had in his hand. The employee laughed out loud, and while he was bleeding on the floor, He spit in the manager's face and then laughed even louder. Bosses and managers and directors and VPs are now targeted by so many people and groups and causes that they are under constant physical, legal, and financial threat or attack. Still want to be a boss? Good luck. Thank you for watching. I want to tell you that we're going to have more great celebrity interviews coming up and more breaking news stories coming up in the future. So we encourage you to click on that notification bell so you can get notified every time we post a new episode. Thank you, and we shall see you soon. Bye-bye.